So my name is Matt Parrish. I'm new to the area. We just moved here last June from Austin, Texas. I was in Austin for two or 3 years, and then I lived in Kansas City actually 13 years before that. So I'm pretty familiar actually with the 1 Million Cups and Kauffman Foundation because that's where it was founded. I am a software developer in my full-time job, and I, in my free time, as you can tell, work for Best Buy. I don't know why I ended up dressing like a Best Buy employee today, but no, in my free time, I'm a game developer. In Austin, I worked for a slot machine company called Every. It was Multimedia Games, and I made mechanical and video slot machine games for developing video games. And that's ultimately the direction I want to go with my company, which is Blue Fairy Games. The reason that I started with a tabletop game is because I am very, very interested in the social interaction of people. And I'm actually rather disappointed in the direction that most video games are going, which if you buy a PS4 or an Xbox One right now, it is very, very hard to find local multiplayer games where, you know, you sit in a room. And when I was going to college the first time, right after high school, that was like the thing to do is you go to the dorm room, you sit and you play Xbox and play Halo really with, 4 to 8 of your friends and dorm mates. And that was really fun. And now everything is moving toward online. Now, I hate to say that like I'm getting older and I don't understand the younger generation. I'm only 32 years old. But people that I'm talking to at game conventions, younger kids, are saying, you know, they're learning a lot by being online with people and not being in a room. However, I don't feel like that is necessarily the best for social interaction. There was one kid I was talking to who actually has a friend from Canada, and they've been talking for 7 years, and he said, yeah, I'm actually going up this summer to meet him. And I said, that's really great. You know, if you can do that and utilize that outlet, that's really excellent, and I'm glad you're going to meet him in person, and you actually have this friendship of 7 years online. But anyway, I love to play board games with my friends. I love the social interaction being at home. I actually, when I have board game nights, I like to have a rule that you stick your phone in this little jar I have, and you disconnect from technology as much as possible. Some of the games I've been looking at developing are to actually help integrate technology into the board games so you're not distracted. So you're using your phone or device for the board game rather than like in your off turn being distracted by Facebook or whatever. So you're actually there in the moment rather than, one person's taking their 5-minute turn on a strategy game and everyone else is just sitting there on their phone like this while that's happening, because you're not really interacting at that point. So I started 2.5 years ago on my board game, which went from being a very high level of access strategy game with lots of spells and powers and all kinds of things to, I don't even remember the name of that. I have it down at some point, but it was that game for maybe 3 months until I realized that the level of entry I wanted was down here, and my level of entry for that game was way up there. So I loved the game and the concept, but it's not what I wanted to start out with. So the regular inspiration of the game was actually multiplayer chess. So it's highly based in movement and strategy. The game is called New Beginnings now. It's been anywhere from spells and magic to a game called Go for Broke, which is actually, yes, little gophers in mounds and everything, play on words. And now it's New Beginnings, which is still a play on words, but it really fit the theme because hexes everywhere and it looks like a honeycomb. And I know you can't see it from here. I don't have a fancy presentation or anything. I'm much more of a physical, tactile person. So during the 20 minutes, please come up as you like and take a look at it as you have questions and everything. Anyway, so this has actually really helped me and my partner get more into understanding what's going on with bees and environmental concerns. So in developing this game, I have really started to understand like colony collapse disorder, what's happening with the Earth and climate change, and it's been an interesting experience to learn that more. So the idea with New Beginnings is it's a strategy exploration game for a broad term. There's a more specific gaming term, which is 4X, which stands for explore, exterminate, expand, and exploit. So you're exploring a territory, you're expanding your hive or whatever you want to call it, you're exploiting the resources that you're getting, and you're potentially exterminating threats or other players. So it's a 2 to 6 player game. It takes about 15 minutes per player. I've been going to plenty of game conventions and things for getting it play tested. The game is basically done at this point. I have the rule book laid out. It's not graphically designed, but it is finished in a black and white sense. And I'm running out of time. But that is pretty much it. And I'm at the point that it's looking for visibility and marketing. And yeah, I'm happy to share it with you and answer any questions that you have.
So I'd be curious to know, I think that's great. I applaud your effort in game development. The thing that comes to mind for me is certainly building a connection between environmental science and physical science for this. I don't know if there's a target on this, middle school, high school, not sure, but I would think that there's definitely an application in the STEM field for something fun like this.
So the target audience is strategy gamers, but I also want to be able to target families because I've had a lot of families play and they really think it's a lot of fun. My target age is 12 to 13, but I've had some gamer families have kids about 7 or 8 play, and they play games all the time, so they really understood it. I had actually one of those families say, hey, this would be really great to be like an educational tool. Part of some of the cards that I have, they all have little B facts on them. So the game is very highly based in loose factual elements. So for instance, the queen bee has decided it's time to swarm and start a new hive. And in order to prepare for that, she's holding a competition to see who is best fit to go with her. And you go and explore the field of flowers, you find various things that bees actually go forage for, and on those cards there's all kinds of the little bee facts as just flavor text. But yeah, people have definitely said that it would be good for education, and this particular one, this size, would be really good for schools. I haven't actually gone out and done anything actively to connect with schools or anything like that. The thing that I have done is I've tried to reach out to a few honeybee conservancies. The Honeybee Conservancy is the main one. It's actually on the box. They can't officially sponsor things because they're a nonprofit, and I've talked to them about that. But I am able to put their logo on things and say, we are supporting this organization. And I plan to give a percentage of all profits made to that organization. Another potential is looking for more of those organizations, because there's a bunch of them that support the bees and everything.
So did you say this was just the prototype design, or is this the actual final design that you have?
Art-wise, this is pretty final. It's not final as far as format, because the domestic manufacturer that I'm available to which is called the Game Crafter, they can't actually make the type of components that I need. So that's going to be coming from more of the international Chinese manufacturers. So this is not the final form factor, but this is the final art and things like that.
I gotta say, this is actually really cool. I raise honeybees. I have like 6 hives, so this is like awesome. I'm curious. You mentioned something about technology earlier. Mm-hmm. Is there a component to this with that?
Not this one, no.
Okay.
I have 2 other games in the works at the moment. That one of them is actually trying to implement a technology.
That's a brilliant idea. I've never heard of that before. Where you have the technology side along with the board game. That would be.
There's quite a few actually that are out there that are actively trying to do that as well. One of my favorite ones is called Beasts of Balance. So if you have a chance to look that up, it's a dexterity game, and it looks kind of childish, but it's actually not. It's quite fun for a party game. And they have an iPad app and a little platform. I'm not talking about my game at this point, but you scan the little things that you're stacking on there, and then that animal goes into the app, and you're building a world in the app. So it's connected that way. So it's using RFID to connect. It's very interesting, and it's exciting to see technology being used that way.
What's your estimated production timeline?
Well, I was intending on kickstarting. The Kickstarter is like the main platform for most board games. There's, Indiegogo and other crowdfunding platforms. Kickstarter is usually where games go. So I was planning on having a Kickstarter in Q1 of this year. The reason that I did not is because I only have 105 people on my email list right now. And the people in the industry that I have connection to have told me I can expect about a 5% conversion rate, which is not enough to fund a $30,000 minimum print run because Chinese manufacturers require at least 1,000, most of them 1,500 units as a minimum print run. And the per unit cost is estimated right now at about $25. So that'd be about 25 to 30,000 for a Kickstarter. So there'd be no point, at least I thought, in launching a campaign at this moment with that many people on my list. Thus the push for visibility and marketing. Yes?
Do you feel strongly about retaining the distribution model that you have in mind, or would you consider licensing this to existing board game manufacturers?
So I've considered this a lot. There are potentially three models that you can go with in the game industry. You can self-publish, which is what I'm trying to do. You can go with a publisher, or you can kind of do a mix of both. With a publisher, you lose potentially a lot of creative control. They know what's hot right now. They know what's going to go out, which is a good thing. However, that means they may want you to retheme your game. They may want you to change mechanics. They may, you lose that creative control. The benefits would be that they take care of distribution, marketing, all that stuff. You basically get paid the flat rate and you're done. The reason that I've chosen not to go that path with this game, I'm not opposed to it for other games. I really like the game how it is right now. I love that it's bee-themed. I love that it educates about colony collapse disorder and the things that are going on with climate change and bees. And it's kind of my baby. I know that a lot of people have told me, don't be afraid to eat your baby. It's one of my favorite phrases, actually, because, you get tied to things and you have to rip its arms and legs off sometimes in order to actually make it be a product. But this one, people love it in its current condition. Playtesting has gone great. Every time I go to a convention, people are absolutely just ecstatic about it. The problem is that I don't get enough people at the conventions that I've been going to justify the cost of that convention. My model has been to run full plays of the game, and I haven't had enough capital to go and get a booth at these conventions because that's rather expensive. The last one that I just went to was PAX East in Boston a couple of weeks ago. So what I've been going to is there's a company called Unpub who helps designers get time and playtesting, and they do that for free. All you have to do is pay for the badge. The problem with that is it's a table share, so I have maybe one day or 2 to 4 hour slots in one day. If I do a full play run, I get about, hopefully, 4 people sitting down to play the game that are not me, so that I can play. I don't have any help. Usually my husband comes sometimes when he can, but usually it's just me. So I'm sitting down and playing that game for an hour and 30 minutes. Therefore, I get 4 to 8 people a day for 3 days when I'm paying hundreds of dollars for hotel, transportation, badge, etc. for the convention. So PAX East was really my big kind of revelation that, the game's done. That worked really well when I was playtesting and needing to get feedback, etc. I don't need that anymore. I'm done with the game. Now I need to push towards release. And that's my big hurdle right now. I'm having to rethink my entire model of how I'm presenting this and how I'm getting people to be interested, because I need turnover.
Do you know where most people buy their board games today?
A lot of it is through Cool Stuff Inc., unfortunately. I say that just because, I mean, it's great. They have excellent prices. It's coolstuffinc.com. They are also a distributor. The reason I say unfortunately is because they are putting a lot of brick and mortar stores out of business. And I like to support local. So I buy my stores locally as much as I can. Sometimes if it's absolutely crazy expensive, I will buy it on Cool Stuff Inc. to get a good deal. But that's the two places usually.
Sure. Austin's a big game developer town.
It is.
So they also have funding for game developers. And there used to be a developers association when I was there.
There is,
So
yes.
are you using that as a resource? Do you communicate with that group? And if so, I know they're electronically inclined, but might they have connections into traditional board games, or your other two? The other two are interesting because they may provide funding if successful for this venture. Have you engaged with them?
So there's various groups. There's the IGDA, which is the International Game Developer Association. They are more kind of video game based, but they do help out board games. I was actually quite a big proponent of the Austin Board Game Developer Group when I was there. I kind of helped them quite a bit get more visibility on their end and get more community stuff going. They don't have any kind of capital or anything to help, but they are a resource for sure and connection that I have been staying in touch with. That's kind of my connection back to Austin still. We moved up here because my husband got a job at SU as a theater and lighting designer. So that kind of is what pulled me away, and I've been doing my best to get connected up here. The unfortunate thing that I found here is the lack of kind of big game stores. The closest is Grog's Club in Sunbury that I've noticed. Steve actually told me about another one that's comics, a little bit of games here. Grog's is tiny. And Harrisburg has quite a few, but it's like an hour away. I've been going. There's another game convention actually in October that I went to last year and I'll be going to again, called Save Against Fear. But yeah, I'm doing my best to get connected up here and stay connected with those industries down there. I think you had your hand up first.
So I'm trying to figure out, it sounds like you're in the stage where you finished everything and you're trying to distribute or something. Curious what you value more. If you could choose, would you rather have a limited budget for marketing or a limited budget for creating it or manufacturing? Which one would you take for that?
If I could choose, I would have the manufacturing and just get it printed. Finish up the rule book, get it printed, and then have it to be distributed. Because like I said, at the conventions, people love it. They would say, do you have it available now? I want to buy it.
So I had a couple thoughts about that. One, for distribution, maybe take a look into loot boxes.
Say that again?
Have you heard of loot boxes?
Yes.
That might be a great way, because I think loot boxes, if you partner with someone who does loot boxes, they'll take like a small percentage or whatever. But that's a great way for you to get the product out to people. It sounds like your manufacturing problem is the cost of actually developing. Have you thought of maybe, the way I would get around that is by printing it on like a piece of cloth instead. They don't do anything with Chinese, you just kind of stretch the cloth over. When you still print it, you still get the same pattern, the same design. You can do like a silk print, and it's just not on a board. But if you stretch that over something when you take the game out to play it, you'll get the same effect, and it'd be significantly cheaper.
So I think that would be great for like playtesting or for demoing it at conventions and things. If you come up later and you see the form factor that I've chosen is actually rather enjoyable by people, that's part of the reason they really like the game. So it's got insets where your pieces fit into, and it's a very tactile experience. I don't think that would be, that's part of the game, so I don't feel like it would be come across very well if I did that. It would definitely be lowering costs.
Yeah, it actually
Yeah. I think you had your hand up next.
Yeah, I just want to start off by saying I'm highly impressed with everything that you're saying. This is right in my wheelhouse. I spent 13 years working for KB Toys at all levels. I was an assistant manager, I was a manager, I went to the home office, I was part of distribution, I launched their e-commerce site in the mid-90s. So this is like, I just had so much to say, I'm not even gonna say anything. But as you were talking, you hit a lot of the key topics: sponsorship, digitization of it. I think you may just not have found the right company to partner with. I actually know somebody who specializes in games like this. They create an autism game and a bunch of other games, and I think you may want to look to partner with somebody to help elevate this for you faster. So you have a lot of great stuff going on. The one thing that I think maybe I can offer you, or at least help you think about, how do you expand your reach? You said, look, I only have an email database of, what was it?
105 people.
Right. So what you really need to do is you really need to expand your reach, especially if you're going to do like a GoFundMe, because that's what I was thinking about, initially. Consider maybe giving away like prototypes of the games. I know that's may seem like it's pretty costly, but there's actually a true value on emails. They're, depending on your business model, there's anywhere from $10 per email to $100 per email, depending on, again, what you're trying to achieve. So, if you print up, 4 games and you give them away and you have people register to win these games, that could expand your reach that way. And also, have you considered starting up what was it? I'm not familiar, the game club you were in Harrisburg? What was that?
Developers?
Yeah, what is that? I'm not sure what
The
that's all
Austin
about.
Board Game Designers?
Well, you said there's one in Harrisburg and there's, what was it?
I was
What
talking about
what
game
was-
stores.
Oh, just a store.
Yeah.
Have you considered starting maybe like a board game club here locally to kind of help expand the, your reach into the area?
So I actually did make a Facebook group for one called the Susquehanna Valley Game something. I forget. It was like acronym of STAGs, but Susquehanna Tabletop something. And at the Linda Gerhart Library in Selinsgrove, I'm based in Selinsgrove right now. There is a Wednesday game night that they have there. I haven't attended yet. I've been busy with other things, but that's definitely an avenue that I would like to consider. Yeah. Steve, I think I saw your hand up at one point.
Yeah, a couple things. So connecting with those local gaming groups, you saw that Mark uses for organizing 1 Million Cubs, meetup.com.
Yes.
There's a bunch of game affiliated meetup groups.
Yep, I use that a lot.
Okay,
I haven't particularly found any here.
You should create one. Is what I think was what he's saying.
Yeah.
The, Facebook as a group is going to reach some people, maybe paralleling that, cross-posting that, trying to bring that community into Meetup. Well, how many people here are part of this Meetup group, but also a few others? Okay. So crossover interests.
Yeah.
The other topic regarding distribution or potential partners, the museum store, the children's museum, the science museum, placement of that. Is that something that you have researched?
That is not something I've considered at all now.
I want to check out Longwood Gardens. There
Oh,
a huge
yeah.
number of people go there.
Longwood
Huge number of people go
College.
through the store.
Longwood, you
And
probably
that's
know
about
it.
the right size
have
for
no
something
idea.
like that.
Longwood Gardens is an amazing garden in.
You got to go, you've got to go see it.
What town is that in?
Is that just outside Philadelphia?
Kennett Square.
Right.
Kennett Square.
And by that I mean not
Says
just
Longwood
the
Gardens?
individual
Longwood Gardens,
museum,
it's
but the
unbelievable.
catalog or the distribution network that museum organizer or museum procurement contract officer looks to when they're stocking their store for their visitors.
Yeah, there's a huge opportunity there amongst museums and also other kind of educational institutions, I think, that are looking for truly specialized items that wouldn't be available on those sites that you're talking about, those kind of Amazon-esque. They have their own network, and a lot of times they work together through those associations so that you could work on more volume potential there as well.
Okay.
And then also, if you're interested in more of kind of like that keep it local type of distribution and or marketing efforts. The other thing that I'm thinking of connected to education, there's a huge homeschool and cyber school network of associations as well. It could be a really kind of interesting special interest type group that might kind of be able to expand marketing and email. They use a lot of their own social media and their own interaction to talk to each other as well, so that could be an opportunity.
Okay. I'll get you and then you and then real quick I want to say something first kind of to answer this. My biggest hurdles to doing things like that right now, that just stating them, the cost of production. So right now getting even this prototype, it's a good enough prototype or review copy I should say, to get the idea across. It's not the final form factor. This costs $75 a unit through the Game Crafter. So that's quite a bit higher. One of the outlets I know I can do for visibility and marketing is YouTube reviewers. So there's plenty of like game reviewers and things that will play online and post videos of it. This is another avenue that I can use, but I have to be able to afford the copies. So that's my biggest hurdle right now is
Your
capital.
biggest cost there is going to be to pay the reviewer, but who's going to get paid?
There's a lot who are offering.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So really the biggest hurdle is either having 2 or 3 that maybe I've talked to them and they will actually send it back. They'll review it and send it back so I can send it to others. So maybe 2 or 3 copies. Time is coming up here. Are we done or? Okay.
It seems like your big decision is going to be, do I want to be the creative guy to do the games, or do I want to go into the business of selling a box? And it seems like you wanted to stay on the artistic side of things.
I am a creator.
Yes.
I am
Well, I'm in the same boat.
learning a lot about business and everything, and I'm having to. I'm pulling myself along in that mud because like I said, I like this enough how it is that I don't want to. If I found a publisher who would take it and take it as it is and not change it, I would probably do it.
Go that way.
But
Because 1,000 copies